imprisoned for a serious crime, but innocent. Imagine the horror, unending misery. Aloha, and welcome to the Hawaii Innocence Project online course. It was designed and developed in D2L and in Google Classroom. D2L is the official learning management system used by the University of Hawaii Richardson School of Law, and because the course is most likely to be implemented in D2L, this introduction will take place there. The course was designed by myself, Keith McNevins, on an accelerated timeline in less than 7 weeks, with the cooperation of Hawaii Innocence Project co-director and professor of law Kenneth Lawson and associate director attorney Jennifer Brown. Without their expertise, materials, and recordings that they provided, this project would not be possible. Now let's take a look at the course.
This is a clinical course. It is different from many of the traditional required academic law courses students must take while earning their degree and preparing for the bar exam. Law students must pass courses such as these: torts, administrative law, contracts, and criminal law. Notice the homepage banner. The images are warm and welcoming, featuring generic images from Hawaii or representing themes common to the field of law. For our Innocence Project course, a serious, dark, gray sky image with barbed wire was chosen. We are setting a dramatic tone for good reason. Law students participating in this clinic will be doing serious work with real-life consequences. In the analysis phase, we determine the major goal of the course is to make certain it is student-centric. The clinical course must prepare students to make contributions to the project as soon as possible and throughout the 16-week semester.
Okay, so let's take a look at the homepage. Now we're in administrative view right now, but let's take a look and see how the students see the page. We switch to student A. Right away we see that we have our course navigation bar, which is totally editable. And we have a content section. Under communication, we can access class lists, groups, or news, discussions, and then for assessments, we can access Dropbox, grades or gradebook, and quizzes. On our homepage, it's important to have a welcome message. In this case, we want to draw the students into the mission itself and show some of the important statistics that the Innocence Project has, as well as a compelling video about one of the recent success stories. Likewise, we need to immediately show students where they can access technical help if they need it, as well as how they can reach their primary professor. I'll switch back from student view to administrative view, and we'll take a look at the topics across the navigation bar. Going into content, we're brought to the table of contents section. Down the left-hand side, we have a listing of the major units, and they're divided into weeks, a midterm reflection, more weeks, final reflection, final week of the course, and a section I developed called Faculty D2L References. Scrolling back up to the top, we have the Getting Started module. Within the Getting Started module, we have a course overview, course objectives, which is a downloadable PDF for the students, meet the primary professor, the syllabus, and a help guide of how to navigate the course. It's a downloadable PDF. We also have some helpful how-to guides for the students themselves, downloadable PDFs, to show them how to set their time zone, which is important for a course that spans 6 different time zones, in how the students can see feedback for their quizzes. We have a section for how to get help for technical support, as well as a link to the student handbook. When we get into the weeks themselves, each week has a welcome message. If there's a synchronous live class, there's a link to it and a reminder for the date and time that it meets. We have a section with materials. This is a confidentiality agreement that's due in week 2. We have a link to the Dropbox to submit that. Okay. And a link to the discussion, which is a self-introduction.
Let's take a look at the formative and summative assessments for this course. Discussions are used as one of several types of formative assessments. With the exception of the first introductory discussion that is ungraded, the following 12 discussions are low-stakes, formative assessments. They are worth 1/2 point each of the overall grade. In the discussions, students are asked to summarize that week's topic as presented in the synchronous lectures, asynchronous videos, team meetings held on Zoom, and assigned readings. They are instructed to comment on the most salient points. Additionally, students are asked to reflect on the topic and share how they believe that week's content may influence their clinical work with a Hawaii Innocence project. There are also formative assessments in the form of quizzes. There are 8 short, objective quizzes on the substantive legal content of the course. 4 are in the first half of the course, the first 8 weeks. For surveys are in the last half of the course, the final 8 weeks. In addition, there are 4 student surveys taken during the course. These surveys are not only used as formative assessments, they are part of the ongoing evaluation of course materials and content delivery. One survey is done in week 4. A second survey is in week 8. A third is in week 12, and a final, longer survey is done in week 16. Next, let's take a closer look at the grade book. This is the page where instructors or TAs enter the grades. For more details, we need to go to the Manage Grades screen and examine a summary page. Here we see a breakdown of the grade book components. Notice there are 2 summative assessments. Together, they are worth 50% of the final grade. Due in week 16, there is a team case memo for 20 points and an individual case memo worth 30 points. The attendance and participation category represent 20% of the final grade. As mentioned earlier, the discussions are 1/2 point each. The quizzes are worth 1/2 point each. In this section, there are also requirements for midterm reflections and final reflections, 5 points each. More details will be provided about the midterm and final reflection assignments in a few minutes. The office hours category is 25% of the final grade. It is the time devoted to the clinic's work performed by the students. Weekly hours are 10% of the final grade. Tracking is done in their case system and is 15% of the grade. There's also 5% of their grade listed in the category of teamwork. It is based on the students' professionalism, well-intentioned collaboration, plus the clarity and tone of their communications.
I want to take a minute to highlight the course midterm and final reflections. At the outset of the course, I said that the goals of the course are learner-centric, as well as the goal of inspiring the individual students and others to carry on this work in the future. Therefore, it's important that they take time to reflect at the midpoint and final part of the course for these 2 identical assignments, but giving them an opportunity to reflect and make a brief written statement of just 600 to 800 words to describe their role in the clinic, what they learned, the challenges, surprises, and emotional moments. And in order to inspire others and help them reflect, they're given the uh, chance to make a video to post on YouTube or social media, as well as a social media post, and the opportunity as an option to do a podcast. In conclusion, I want to mention that in my experience, it takes between 6 months and a year to develop an online course for higher education. Um, this course, so far in 7 weeks, has a fairly significant amount of content. We have about a half a dozen asynchronous videos added and links for the planned synchronous sessions. If you've read the syllabus, you'll see that there are also bi-weekly Zoom meetings that the students must attend and a fairly rigorous schedule as outlined in their manual. Because it's confidential, I can't go too deeply into it, but they do quite a bit of work in terms of screening cases and working on them during their clinical experience there. Plans for this course are to continue to add lecture content in the form of videos um, by the professors and directors, and also augment it with other videos that are available, such as really compelling talks, such as a TED Talk, a short video narrated by Matthew McConaughey, highlighting a particularly moving story about an innocent person that was spent decades in prison. So there is a lot of opportunity to develop this course out over the next couple of months, and the plans are to field trial this course in the spring semester. So I have no doubt that if it comes to fruition, and I believe it will, this course will prove to end up being a live course, hopefully by the fall of 26, um, or at worst case, the spring of 27. Thank you for watching.